President Trump said this week that Coca-Cola has agreed to use cane sugar in U.S. Coke, arguing that it is, quote, just better. But would this change actually benefit U.S. consumers and more broadly the U.S. economy? Earlier, I sat down with Lehigh University professor and the author of the book Junk Food Politics, Eduardo J. Take a listen. Help me understand, why would the president get involved with the recipe of Coke at all?
That's a great question. It's very surprising. Of course, we all know that President Trump is a big consumer of Diet Coke, right? He has a Diet Coke button in his office. And so I think he has a personal interest in the product. He enjoys drinking it. And who knows, that could have been possibly why he got so interested in trying to bring sugar cane into the Coke. And so maybe also, sugarcane producer, one of the largest sugarcane producers is located in Florida, his state, which he spends a lot of time in. So it could be a combination of those different reasons for why he's so interested in this initiative or this proposal to bring sugarcane into Coke.
Well, to be clear, Coke hasn't exactly agreed, right? And as far as their statement goes, they say, we appreciate President Trump's enthusiasm for our iconic Coca-Cola brand. More details on new innovative offerings within our Coca-Cola product range will be shared soon. So if you are the Coke company, how easy would it be to, substitute corn syrup for sugarcane if it were to come to that?
It would be very challenging, very difficult. It would cost the company a lot more. First of all, sugarcane is a product that has tariffs, has taxes on the import of sugarcane. So it ended up costing more for Coca-Cola to change its product. And so that's one of the major challenges. It's not easy to suddenly change a product, especially when you've been using high fructose corn syrup for decades, since the 1980s. Coke did use sugar and other ingredients prior to the 1980s, but after the mid-80s, it started to use high fructose corn syrup. So it's not easy for a major company like that to suddenly change. And especially the costs involved. I mean, it would ultimately come back to the consumer having to pay more for the product.
And what would consumers be getting in return? I've heard a lot anecdotally from people who say, well, you know what, Mexican Coke does taste better, and I believe that is made with sugar cane. Is it healthier than corn syrup? What would the consumer get?
Well, it's not clear that it would be healthier. The difference is some consumers believe there's a taste difference, although I've seen studies show that some tests have been done showing that consumers actually in blindfolded tests prefer the high fructose corn syrup, which they're used to, over the Mexican. There's other reasons why people like the Mexican version of the sugar cane for other different reasons. So it's not clear that it has a different taste or a better taste. And it's not clear that it'll be healthier, right? I mean, of course, more sugar it can't be a healthier option. And in fact, the Robert Kennedy Jr. has been advocating for less corn syrup, but also less sugar, seeing that as something that we should not be consuming as much.
Yes, taste is subjective, of course. But one thing that is not is, the amount of corn that U.S. farmers produce, right? That's a fact. How would this change, if it ultimately happens, impact those farmers?
It would have a devastating impact. We have to remember that in the U.S., the federal government has subsidized corn production for decades. A lot of farms' jobs are dependent on corn production. While a small percentage of corn production goes to high fructose corn syrup, it's still a lot of jobs. And so this would really be detrimental to the corn industry. It would also have potential political ramifications for President Trump, given that a lot of the corn producers are in the Midwest, where a lot of his supporters are located. So, this is it would be very challenging for the corn industry, loss of jobs in that area at a time when Trump has always said he's committed to providing more jobs in the U.S. This would be very questionable why he's proposing something like this.
I was just going to ask you, is this really about soda or is this about something bigger? Is this about politics for the president?
That's a great question. I doesn't seem to me he's clearly thought out the political ramifications. I mean, it doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. What he's proposing is going against his own HHS secretary, who's trying to make us eat healthier. It goes against the corn producers, who thinks it'd be an economic loss. It seems to be really just a decision based on individual choice, individual preference, maybe a tasting something, or just maybe an interest in Coca-Cola itself. Alternatively, there could be some politics behind the fact that his Florida, one of his major supporting states, is a major producer of sugarcane, but he really hasn't said anything about that. But it's just not clear to me that this has been really thought through politically.
All right, Professor Gomez, we will try to get some of those answers and hopefully have you back when we hear more about this potential new recipe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.